All right, we made it. Saturday afternoon. Just as a reminder, we have one more speaker, and then after the speaker right here on this stage, we will have judging, one of the best parts of Ethereum Denver, so stick around. But first, I'd like to introduce Irfan Shaik, founder of Interstate. So please give him a round of applause.
Hello, hello. Hope everyone's having fun on Saturday. I know I had a really lit ETHDenver. Yeah, let's wait for the slides to come up. Cool. Okay, cool. So the presentation today will be around preconfs and base rollups. For context, I'm a founder at Interstate, which is currently on testnet and hoping to put preconfs on mainnet within the month. So what preconfs are a way to get continuous transaction confirmations on the L1. Effectively, what we have now on ETH is 12-second block times. What we're trying to bring to ETH is instant and continuous confirmations. So what you in the ideal end state, you'll be able to send multiple transactions, one after the other, and get them confirmed between a single block. Cool. So the way we accomplish this is we overload the PBS pipeline. Essentially, instead of submitting a transaction into the mempool, what you do is you submit it into the next up validator. On Ethereum, you have a 32-slot look-ahead. So at any given time, you know who the next proposer is. So the idea is instead of submitting it into the mempool and waiting 12 seconds to get for some builder to pick it up, you can submit it directly into the PBS pipeline and get an instant guarantee that a builder will definitely pick it up. Let's try to make this bigger. Cool. So what we have today in the PBS pipeline is you have a validator which is opted into multiple relays, which is opted into multiple builders, and this is what exists today in the existing L1 PBS pipeline. What we're doing is we're adding a new component. We're adding the functionality into the relays to enable them to accept preconf transactions. And what this does is it allows relays to instantly give a guarantee that there'll be certain constraints to the block the builder produces. Effectively, what you're saying is in between one block, the builder is giving a guarantee that the next block will include a certain set of transactions. This requires really broad validator opt-in. So at Interstate, we're dealing with like hundreds of thousands of validators. So speaking with like every major validator on Ethereum and trying to convince them to opt into enabling this feature. The status quo today is single sequencer blockchains. So the majority of L2s are one machine sitting somewhere in the world that writes state root and DA to L1. They're effectively issuing reputation-based preconfirmations. There's no guarantee that the sequencer isn't censoring, and they pay very little to the L1 for DA fees. So something like a major L2 might make quite a bit a year, and they'll pay something like 3% of net revenue to L1 in DA fees. Base L2s are much better because they have no independent. They effectively move their L2 blocks forward with the L1 state, so they don't have their own independent blocks. Their blocks and the L1 blocks are the same thing. Leading base L2s like Tycho are paying like $100K a week in DA fees to the L1. This is a substantial improvement. They also enable interop between L2s, so you can get synchronous cross-chain transactions. Base rollups are clearly more decentralized. Why? Most rollups are single sequencer machines, meaning you're trusting a single sequencer sitting somewhere in the world. This is a single server. on the base side, the sequencer rotates with the L1 validator. So instead of having one sequencer, you have 1.5 million sequencers, which is the same as the L1 validators. Base L2s are synchronously composable with other L2s and also L1 in the end state. And they do this by opting into a joint builder. Effectively on Ethereum, we have a bunch of shared composability zones. We have Optimism Superchain, we've got AgLayer, we've got others. And these are effectively composability zones within like certain subsets of Ethereum. What we're enabling is composability between all of Ethereum. We think that the L1 is the best shared composability zone, the most credibly neutral shared composability zone, and the base rollup is effectively opting into the L1 as the synchronous composability zone. So by opting into the same building pipeline as the L1, you enable multiple L2s to build their blocks together, enabling synchronous composability. At Interstate, we're doing the work of enabling we're doing the work of enabling base rollups to have much shorter block times. We're doing the work of getting broad opt-in from the Ethereum community. So this really involves dealing with like the majority of Ethereum validators, getting them to opt into this Preconf network. We're making substantial changes to the PBS pipeline. So as you can imagine, it requires a really broad opt-in from multiple parties. So it requires opt-in from all the builders, the relays. It requires opt-in from all the validators, of which there's like 1.5 million. It requires opt-in from the base rollups, which we think there'll be hundreds of base rollups. So the work we're doing, it kind of sits at we're working on the core PBS pipeline, working with the million validators that are out there, working with dozens of relays and the many builders. So we're really sitting at the core of Ethereum. We're actively hiring. So if you want to do work sitting at the core of Ethereum, we're your folks. It's a Saturday evening, so I'll give you guys some time back. But that's the presentation. Thank you.